January 29th, 1945, 20:47 p.m. A Belgian farmhouse in Holzheim. You're First Sergeant Leonard Funk, and you're walking around a corner to check on your prisoners. You stop dead. 90 German soldiers are staring at you. Half of them are holding weapons. The other half are picking up rifles from a pile on the ground. 4 of your men are on their knees in the snow, hands behind their heads, about to be executed. These Germans were prisoners 20 minutes ago. 80 of them, captured by your company during the assault on this village. You left 4 men to guard them. That's all you could spare. Now they're free. Armed. Organizing to attack your company from the rear. A German officer steps forward. Young, maybe 28, Oberleutnant rank insignia on his collar. He shoves an MP-40 submachine gun into your stomach and screams something in German. His face is red, veins bulging in his neck. You don't speak German. He screams again, louder, spit flying from his mouth. You look at the 90 Germans. You look at your 4 disarmed soldiers. You look at the MP-40 pressed against your gut. And you start laughing. The German officer's face twists with confusion, then rage. He screams louder, pressing the gun harder into your stomach. You laugh harder. What happens next takes less than 60 seconds. 21 Germans will die. The rest will throw down their weapons and surrender for the second time today. And you, Leonard Funk, 5'5", 140 pounds, a store clerk from Pennsylvania, will earn the Medal of Honor for one of the most insane acts of combat in World War II. All because you couldn't stop laughing. But here's what nobody talks about. Here's what the Medal of Honor citation doesn't mention. That German officer pressing a gun into your stomach, his name is Oberleutnant Klaus Weber. He's 28 years old. Before the war, he taught mathematics at a gymnasium in Munich. His wife, Margaretha, is 7 months pregnant with their first child. He carries her last letter in his breast pocket. It arrived 3 weeks ago. She wrote, "Klaus, our son kicks every night now. I tell him stories about his father. Come home soon so you can meet him. In 60 seconds, Klaus Weber will be dead. His son will grow up, never knowing his father's voice. Margaret will receive a letter, died in combat, Belgium, January 29th, 1945. And Leonard Funk will spend the next 47 years waking up at 3 a.m., seeing Weber's face, hearing the laughter, feeling the Thompson kick against his shoulder, watching 21 men fall. Some victories save lives. Some victories haunt you forever. This is both. Let's back up. Let's talk about how a Pennsylvania store clerk ends up in a Belgian farmyard, surrounded by 90 armed Germans, laughing like a maniac while staring death in the face. Leonard Alfred Funk, Jr. was born August 27, 1916 in Braddock Township, Pennsylvania. Steel Town. Smokestacks lining the Monongahela River, 8 miles east of Pittsburgh. He grew up fast, learned responsibility early. By the time he graduated high school in 1934, he'd been taking care of his younger brother for years. The Great Depression was grinding through its 5th year. Jobs were scarce. College was a fantasy. June 1941, war raging across Europe and Asia. Congress extends the draft. Funk's number comes up. He's 24 years old, 5'5", 140 pounds. The Army physical examiner probably thinks, clerk duty, maybe supply. They're wrong. Funk volunteers for the paratroopers. In 1941, American airborne forces barely exist. The concept is new jumping out of perfectly good aircraft to land behind enemy lines and fight surrounded. It sounds like suicide to most soldiers. The volunteers are a different breed. Airborne training is designed to break you. 5 weeks of running, jumping, climbing, falling, brutal physical conditioning that washes out half the candidates. Then the jump towers. Then the aircraft. The first time you step out of a C-47 at 1,200 feet, everything in your body screams to grab the door frame and hold on. The ground is a long way down. Your parachute is just fabric and cord and faith. Funk earns his jump wings. Gets assigned to Company C, 1st Battalion, 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment. By D-Day, he's a squad leader. 27 years old, ancient by paratrooper standards. Most of his squad mates are barely 20. But Funk has something they don't. Maturity. Steadiness. The kind of quiet competence that makes men follow you into hell. First, though, he has to survive Normandy. June 6, 1944. 1:30 a.m. You're standing in the stick-the-line of paratroopers waiting to jump. 60 pounds of equipment strapped to your body. The C-47 shudders as flak explodes around it. The aircraft is at 400 feet. Too low for a safe jump, but the pilots can't climb. German anti-aircraft fire is everywhere. Tracers arc through the darkness like angry fireflies. The green light comes on, you jump. The prop blast hits you like a truck. Then the chute deploys and the world goes quiet. Below you, France. Occupied France. Enemy territory in every direction. The D-Day airborne operation is chaos from the first minute. German anti-aircraft fire has scattered the formations across 50 miles of French countryside. Paratroopers are landing in flooded fields and drowning under the weight of their equipment. Others come down in the middle of German camps and die before they can cut free of their harnesses. You land hard. Your ankle twists on impact. Badly sprained, maybe fractured. Every step will be agony for the next 2 weeks. But you can walk. You can fight. That's all that matters. Within hours, you've collected a group of lost paratroopers. 18 of them. Men from different units, different companies, different regiments. All of them looking for leadership. You give it to them. For 10 days, you lead this group through German-held territory, traveling at night. Hiding by day. Hiding by day. Fighting when you have to. You insist on serving as lead scout despite your injured ankle, putting yourself in the most dangerous position to protect your men. You link up with Allied forces on June 17th. Every single man survives. Not one casualty. 10 days behind enemy lines. 40 miles of German-occupied France. Silver Star. Bronze Star. First Purple Heart. You just getting started. September 17th, 1944. Holland. Operation Market Garden, the largest airborne assault in history. 35,000 paratroopers dropping into the Netherlands to capture bridges across the Rhine. Your mission: support the landings, secure the drop zones, kill Germans. Then you notice something that isn't part of the plan. 3 German 20mm flak guns are firing at incoming Allied gliders. Those gliders carry reinforcements, jeeps, artillery, ammunition, medical supplies. If those guns keep firing, hundreds of men will die before they even hit the ground. The gun position is dug in on high ground. Approximately 20 German soldiers manning the weapons, sandbags, camouflage, interlocking fields of fire. You have 3 men. Standard military doctrine says you need a 3-to-1 advantage to assault a prepared position. You have the opposite. You're outnumbered 7-to-1. You attack anyway. Leading from the front, you and your 3-man patrol storm the position, kill the security detachment, neutralize all 3 weapons and their crews. 20 Germans. 3 Americans. The guns go silent. The gliders land safely. Distinguished Service Cross. Second highest decoration for valor. 1 step below the Medal of Honor. You now have a Silver Star and a DSC, 2 of the rarest combat decorations in the American military. You still aren't done. December 16, 1944, the Germans launched their last desperate offensive, the Battle of the Bulge. 400,000 men, 1,400 tanks crashing through the American lines in the Ardennes forest. The weather is brutal. Snow, ice, temperatures dropping to 5 below zero. Men freeze to death in their foxholes. Then comes Malmedy. December 17, 1944. 1 day into the offensive. A convoy of American artillery observers runs into an SS armored battle group. After a brief fight, 113 Americans surrender. They're herded into a farmer's field. Hands up. Disarmed. Prisoners of war. Then the SS opens fire. Machine guns. Pistols. Rifles. The Germans shoot them down like cattle. Men who try to run are cut down. Men who fall wounded are finished off with shots to the head. 84 Americans die in that field. Some survive by playing dead. They lie in the snow for hours. German boots walking past them, German voices laughing. When darkness comes, 43 survivors crawl away and make it back to American lines. The news spreads through the American army within hours. The Germans are executing prisoners. Malmedy changes everything. Before, the war in Europe had rules unofficial, unspoken, but real. Soldiers surrendered when the situation was hopeless. Prisoners were treated according to the Geneva Convention. After Malmedy, the rules are gone. American soldiers swear they'll never surrender to the SS. Some units pass down orders, no SS prisoners. When you hear about the massacre, something hardens inside you. You've already seen too much: Normandy, Holland, friends dying in fields and forests across Europe. But this is different. This is murder. Cold-blooded execution of men who surrendered in good faith. You decide right then, you will never surrender to the Germans, no matter what. That decision will matter very soon. January 29th, 1945. The Ardennes. The German offensive has been broken. Now the Allies are pushing back. Company C gets orders to capture the Belgian village of Holzheim. There's a problem. Company C is under strength. The executive officer has been killed. You don't have enough men. You're now acting executive officer. You look at your depleted roster and make a decision. You walk to company headquarters. Inside are clerks, supply personnel, cooksmen who normally never see combat. You're all infantry now, you tell them. Grab your weapons. We're taking that village. You form a makeshift platoon. 30 men who spent most of the war behind desks. Most of them have never fired a shot at another human being. You don't care. You need bodies. You'll turn them into soldiers. The march to Holzheim is 15 miles through waist-deep snow and a driving blizzard, temperatures well below freezing. German artillery shells explode around you, harassing fire from the flanks. You lead from the front. You reach Holzheim. Organize the assault. Your clerks, your makeshift warriors, follow you into the village. 15 houses, Germans in every one. Machine guns, rifles, grenades. You clear them all. 30 prisoners captured. Not one American casualty. Another unit captures 50 more Germans on the other side of town. 80 prisoners total. They're corralled in the yard of a farmhouse. You look at your exhausted men. They've been marching and fighting for hours. There's still resistance in other parts of the village. You can only spare 4 men to guard the prisoners. Keep them here, you tell the guards. We'll send reinforcements when we can. You head back into the fight. You have no idea what's about to happen behind you. While you're clearing the rest of Holzheim, a German patrol approaches the farmhouse. Maybe 10 men, maybe 20. Wearing white camouflage capes. In the snow and confusion, they look almost identical to American troops. The 4 guards don't realize the danger until it's too late. The Germans overwhelm them, disarm them, force them to their knees. Then they free the prisoners. 80 German soldiers plus the patrol that freed them. 90 men total. They grab weapons from the pile. They organize quickly. Oberleutnant Klaus Weber takes charge. He's a mathematics teacher from Munich, good with logistics, with planning. Before the war, he taught students how to solve equations. Now he's solving a different kind of problem, how to kill Americans. Weber positions his men. Machine guns here. Set up the ambush there. Wait for my signal. Company C is scattered across the village, mopping up resistance, not expecting an attack from behind. If 90 Germans hit them while they're spread out, it'll be a massacre. That's when you walk around the corner. You've come to check on the prisoners. Routine. Make sure the guards are okay. See if reinforcements have arrived. You're not expecting to walk into 90 armed Germans. You round the corner of the farmhouse and freeze. The scene is surreal. Your 4 guards are on their knees in the snow. The prisoners who should be unarmed and contained are standing everywhere, rifles in their hands, organizing for battle. Weber spots you immediately. The first sergeant's stripes on your sleeve mark you as a leader, a prize. He strides forward, shoves his MP40 into your stomach, screams a command in German, Ergeben Sie sich, fallen lassen, surrender, drop your weapon. Except you don't speak German, you have no idea what he's saying. Weber screams again, louder. His face is red, veins bulging in his neck. You look around. 90 Germans, half of them armed. Your 4 men disarmed and helpless. The mathematics of survival are 0. There is no scenario where Leonard Funk wins this fight. You're outnumbered 90-1. The sensible thing, the rational thing is to surrender. But you remember Malmedy. 84 Americans murdered in a field, shot like animals, left to freeze in the snow. You've already decided you'll never surrender to the Germans. So instead of complying, you do something inexplicable. You start laughing. Nobody knows exactly why. Maybe it's a ruse, a deliberate tactic to confuse the enemy and buy time. Maybe it's stress. The human brain does strange things when faced with certain death. Maybe it's genuine amusement, the absurdity of the situation. An officer screaming in a language you can't understand, expecting compliance. Whatever the reason, the effect is devastating. Weber screams louder, you laugh harder. You bend over, shoulders shaking, call out to your men, I don't understand what he's saying. Some of the German soldiers start laughing too. The tension is bizarre. Their officer is turning purple with rage, and this American won't stop cackling. Weber is completely thrown off. This isn't how prisoners behave. They beg, they plead, they comply. They don't stand there laughing while you shove a gun in their stomach. For a few critical seconds, Weber doesn't know what to do, and you use those seconds. Still appearing to laugh, you slowly reach up toward your Thompson submachine gun. It's slung over your shoulder, standard carrying position for paratroopers. Weber watches. This is good. The American is finally surrendering his weapon. Your hand closes around the grip of the Thompson. You begin to unsling it. Slowly, carefully. Weber relaxes slightly. He's about to have another prisoner. Another trophy. Then you move. In one motion, faster than thought, you swing the Thompson down, bring the muzzle into line, and squeeze the trigger. The M1A1 Thompson fires .45 ACP rounds at 600 per minute. At close range, each round hits like a sledgehammer. The first burst catches Weber in the chest. 30 rounds in less than 3 seconds. He's dead before he hits the ground. But here's what you'll remember for the rest of your life, what you'll see every night at 3 a.m. for the next 47 years. Klaus Weber's eyes. In that final second before the bullets hit, there's no rage, no hate, just surprise. And something else. Recognition. He knows he's about to die. And in that instant, he's not a soldier. He's not an enemy. He's just a man who wants to go home to his pregnant wife. You see all of this in the space between your finger pulling the trigger and the first round leaving the barrel. Then he falls, and you can't stop. Can't think about it. The moment you started shooting, you committed to killing everyone or dying yourself. There's no middle ground. You pivot, still firing. The Thompson sprays an arc of lead across the German soldiers nearest to you. Private Johann Steiner, 19 years old, from a farming village outside Stuttgart. He joined the Wehrmacht 6 months ago. This is his first combat. He's writing a letter to his mother in his head when the bullets hit him. Corporal Ernst Hoffmann, 24, from Hamburg. He survived Stalingrad. Made it through 3 years of the Eastern Front. He's 3 weeks from going home on leave. He's already planned what he'll say to his fiancée when he proposes. Gefreiter Paul Schmidt, 21, from Berlin. He plays violin. Before the war, he was studying at the conservatory. His last thought is about a Mozart concerto he never finished learning. Men scream. Men fall. Blood sprays across the snow. Brass casings tumble through the air, steaming in the cold. The magazine runs dry. 30 rounds gone in seconds. This is the critical moment. A Thompson takes 2 seconds to reload if you're practiced. 2 seconds is forever in a firefight. You yank the empty magazine out, slam a fresh one in, rack the bolt, and keep shooting. At the same time, you're screaming at your men. Pick up their weapons! Pick up their weapons! The 4 guards, still on their knees, scramble for the rifles the dead Germans have dropped. Seconds ago, they were prisoners. Now they're fighting for their lives. The Germans are in chaos. Their officer is dead. The American who was laughing is now killing them. Nobody gave orders for this. Nobody knows what to do. Some of them shoot back. Bullets crack past your head. 1 round kills the soldier standing beside you. Private First Class Michael Torres, 20 years old, from El Paso, Texas. He was going to be a teacher after the war. You keep firing, moving, killing. Your guards have weapons now. They're shooting too. The Germans are caught in a crossfire they never expected. 60 seconds. That's all it takes. 21 German soldiers lie dead in the snow. 24 more are wounded. The rest, more than 40, have thrown down their weapons and raised their hands. The prisoners are prisoners again. You stand in the middle of the carnage, smoke rising from your Thompson, surrounded by bodies. That, you say to your men, was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But your voice is shaking. Your hands are shaking. You look down at Klaus Weber's body. His eyes are still open. His hand is reaching toward his breast pocket, toward the letter from his wife. You'll learn about that letter later. Much later. For now, you just turn away. The aftermath is almost anticlimactic. Company C secures Holzheim. The captured Germans, the survivors anyway, are marched to the rear under much heavier guard this time. You report the incident to your commanding officer. Just another firefight. Just another day in the war. But the story spreads through the regiment, through the division, through the entire 82nd Airborne. The sergeant who laughed at 90 Germans and killed 21 of them with a Tommy gun. When the Medal of Honor recommendation reaches Washington, nobody questions it. September 5th, 1945. The White House. President Harry Truman places the Medal of Honor around your neck. I would rather have this medal, Truman says, than be President of the United States. Let's count what you earned during World War II. Medal of Honor for Holzheim. Distinguished Service Cross for the anti-aircraft guns in Holland. Silver Star for leading 18 men through 40 miles of enemy territory in Normandy. Bronze Star for meritorious service. Purple Heart 3 of them. You were wounded 3 separate times and kept fighting, plus the Croix de Guerre from France. The Order of Leopold from Belgium. The Military Order of William from the Netherlands, their equivalent of the Victoria Cross. Leonard Funk, the most decorated paratrooper of World War II, 5'5", 140 pounds, a former store clerk who became a legend. The war ends. You go home. You don't write a book. Don't do the lecture circuit. Don't turn your Medal of Honor into a speaking career or political platform. You go back to Pennsylvania and get a job with the Veterans Administration, helping other veterans navigate the paperwork, processing disability claims, cutting through red tape for men who'd given everything. The same kind of clerk work you did before the war. For 27 years, you sit at a desk and help veterans. Your wife, Gertrude, sticks with you through all of it. You have 2 daughters. You live in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, a working-class neighborhood in a working-class town. The Medal of Honor hangs in a case somewhere. You never talk about it. When people ask about Holzheim, about the laughing, about the 90 Germans, you shrug it off. Did what I had to do. That's it? That's all you ever say. But here's what you don't say, what you can't say. Every night you wake up at 3 a.m., you see Klaus Weber's eyes. That last second of recognition before the bullets hit. You see Johann Steiner falling, Ernst Hoffmann, Paul Schmidt. 21 faces, 21 names you'll never know. You see Michael Torres, the soldier standing beside you, the one who died because you started shooting. Some nights, you hear the laughter, your own laughter, that insane, impossible sound you made while staring death in the face. And you wonder, what if you'd surrendered? What if you dropped the Thompson and raised your hands? Would Normandy have happened again? Would the Germans have executed you and your men in that farmyard? Or would you all be alive? You, Torres, Weber, Steiner, Hoffmann, Schmidt, all 22 of you. You'll never know. Gertrude finds you sitting in the kitchen sometimes, 3 a.m. staring at nothing. The war again, she asks. You just nod. She doesn't push. She learned early on that you can't talk about it. Not really. How do you explain that you killed 21 men in 60 seconds, and the worst part isn't the killing, it's knowing you'd do it again? Because you would. In that farmyard, with 90 Germans and a gun in your stomach, you'd make the same choice. You just wish it didn't cost so much. In 1987, something unexpected happens. You receive a letter, forwarded to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The return address is Munich, Germany. You stare at that return address for a long time before opening it. Inside, a letter in careful English, translated probably by a grandson. The letter is from a man named Hans Richter. He was at Holzheim. January 29, 1945. He was one of the Germans who surrendered the second time. He writes, First Sergeant Funk, I am writing to tell you that I do not hate you. For 42 years I have thought about that day. I was 18 years old. It was my first combat. When you started shooting, I threw down my rifle and raised my hands. I survived because I surrendered quickly, but I watched my friends die. I watched Oberleutnant Weber fall. He was a good man. A teacher before the war. He talked about his wife constantly. She was pregnant. He never met his son. For many years, I was angry, but I am old now. I have grandchildren. And I have learned something. You did what you had to do. We should not have freed those prisoners. We should not have organized to attack your company from behind. Oberleutnant Weber made a mistake. He paid for it. You were a soldier. I was a soldier. We did what soldiers do. I wanted you to know that I forgive you. And I hope someday you can forgive yourself. You read the letter 3 times. Your hands are shaking. You write back. It takes you 3 weeks to find the words. You tell Richter about the nightmares. About waking up at 3 a.m. every night for 42 years. About seeing Weber's eyes in that final second. You tell him you're sorry. Not for defending yourself. Not for saving your men. But for the cost. For the 21 families that lost sons and fathers and brothers. Richter writes back, "You correspond for the next 5 years. Letters about war and guilt and the impossibility of forgiveness and the necessity of trying anyway." In 1992, Richter asks if he can visit. He's 71 years old now. You're 76. You haven't seen each other since that day in the farmyard, since you were killing his friends while he was throwing down his rifle. He comes to McKeesport in June. You meet him at the airport. 2 old men, both veterans, both survivors, both carrying weight that never gets lighter. You sit in your living room. Gertrude brings coffee. Richter pulls out a photograph. It's Klaus Weber, young, smiling, holding a fishing rod. Before the war. His son is a doctor now. Richter says, lives in Frankfurt. He never knew his father. Margaretha, Weber's wife, she never remarried. She told their sons stories about Klaus, made sure he knew his father was more than a soldier. You stare at the photograph. This is the face you see every night at 3 a.m., but younger, happier, human. She wants to meet you, Richter says quietly. You look up, startled. Why? Because you were the last person to see her husband alive. Because she's carried questions for 47 years. Because she wants to understand. 3 months later, Margaretha Weber visits. She's 83 years old. White hair, kind eyes, hands that shake when she holds her coffee cup. She brings the letter, the one Klaus was carrying in his breast pocket, the one about their son kicking, about coming home. I wanted you to see it, she says. I wanted you to know that Klaus was more than the enemy. He was a husband, a father, even if he never got to meet his son. He was a mathematics teacher who loved fishing and told terrible jokes. You can't speak. You just nod. I am not here to accuse you, Margaretha continues. You were a soldier. Klaus was a soldier. War makes us do terrible things to each other. But I wanted to tell you, I forgive you. Not because what happened was right, but because holding hate for 47 years has been exhausting. You cry. For the first time since the war, you cry. I'm sorry, you whisper. I'm so sorry. Margaretha reaches across and takes your hand. I know, she says. I know you are. 5 months later, on November 20th, 1992, you die of cancer. You're 76 years old. They bury you at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 35, grave 23734. At your funeral, 3 people attend who surprise everyone. Hans Richter, now 73, travels from Munich. Margaretha Weber, 84, travels from Frankfurt, and Klaus Weber Jr., a 47-year-old doctor, comes to meet the man who killed his father. They place flowers on your casket. They bow. They stand in silence for 5 minutes while your family watches in confusion and awe. After the service, Margaretha tells your daughter, your father carried my husband for 47 years. Now he can rest. Today, a fitness center at Fort Liberty is named after you. A highway in Pennsylvania bears your name. A post office in McKeesport was dedicated to you in 2023. But most people have never heard of Leonard Funk. They know Audie Murphy. They know Alvin York, the famous Medal of Honor recipients. They don't know the short, quiet paratrooper who laughed at 90 Germans and killed 21 of them with a Tommy gun. Here's what the Medal of Honor citation doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you about Klaus Weber's letter, about the son he never met, about Margaretha waiting 47 years to forgive the man who made her a widow. It doesn't tell you about Hans Richter throwing down his rifle at 18 years old, surrendering, surviving, then spending 42 years wondering if he was a coward for not fighting. It doesn't tell you about the nightmares, about waking up at 3 a.m. every night for 47 years, about seeing 21 faces falling through the snow. It doesn't tell you about Michael Torres, the American soldier who died standing beside Leonard Funk, 20 years old, from El Paso. Going to be a teacher. It tells you about courage, about impossible odds, about one man standing against 90 and winning. It doesn't tell you about the cost. Here's what President Truman said when he placed that medal around Leonard Funk's neck. I would rather have this medal than be President of the United States. Here's what Leonard Funk said 47 years later, 3 weeks before he died, sitting in his kitchen at 3 a.m. While Gertrude slept upstairs, I'd give back the medal if it meant those 21 men could go home. That's the truth about heroism. That's the truth about war. You can win every fight. You can beat impossible odds. You can laugh at death and walk away alive. And you can still lose, because some victories cost more than you know how to pay. And you spend the rest of your life trying to make change.